All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Navs Effect. I'm your host, Naveen Gavani. I'm back in town and I am excited to do this first UAAP teamed episode with a champion in UAAP Season 85 men's basketball. Chris Koon of the Ateneo Blue Eagles joins me today, and I'm just going to jump right at it. Chris, how are you? How does it feel to be a champion?
How are you, Naveen? Yeah, it feels good, man. Had that break right after, so but there's always something to work for. We know coming back, so but it's good to feel like a champion, especially after that loss in '84. It was good to bounce back, so it feels good.
Yeah, it must be sweeter to win a championship when you had just lost to the same team in a similar setup. And you go at them months later and you kind of get retribution, right? So that factor about it, the personality of being a team that's hungry, not just because you're used to winning championships or competing for championships, but particularly because you're trying to win back what was taken from you. Was that common throughout the season, like a rallying cry for all of you?
I don't think it was in the forefront, but I think it was for sure in the back of our heads. Because we dealt with a lot of things throughout the season. Whether it be, we had that struggle in the first round, talking about our bench, not producing. There's a lot of things that came with that. So, at some points it was hard to even think about that far ahead. We're gonna get him back in the championship. We were worried about, the next game.
Mm.
Um, but I think it was definitely in the back of our minds. I'll still never forget the season '84, the way it ended. So yeah, I think it's not in the forefront, but it's definitely in the back of our minds throughout the season.
Did you kind of take that personally because you came in with the bench unit, and in the first round, there was some criticism that the bench production of Ateneo was probably its weakest point, but the numbers proved that too. The stats were showing that you guys were last in the UAAP in bench production. So was that something that personally was harder on you because you were in that bench unit?
Yeah, and it's not something we can deny. It was pretty clear that we were struggling.
Mm.
But at the same time, we did have such a strong first five, and we wanted to at least match that energy, and we didn't want to come out there and lose the lead or things like that. So I think we were trying to hold our own, and for me, I was trying to lead the bench unit as best as I can, and I'm just glad that in the second round, we bounced back, and then a lot of guys really stepped up during the finals, and which is obviously the perfect time to step up. So I'm just very blessed for that. For everyone, the coaches believing in us. They had a talk with us too during that time, and it helped us a lot. So I think that all played a factor.
So these talks between coaches and players, are they usually led by Coach Tab, or does he let some of the assistants kind of take the wheel sometimes, like a Coach Sandy, for example?
That's the great thing about Coach Tab. I think he doesn't really, he has his times when he takes over the talks, but he knows how talented his whole coaching staff is.
Hmm.
So a lot of times we have different coaches talking to us. Coach Sandy in particular was such a great mentor for me throughout the season. Even during that struggle I had in the first round, he always, you know, kept me in check, told me to keep my head up, and it helped in the end. I think, and he did that. I know he did that with a lot of our players and with everyone. So it's really important to have not just your head coach, give those words of wisdom, but with everyone else, with all the other coaches, it's really a blessing to have such a great coaching staff, like top to bottom.
Right, for sure. And that unity right there that you're pertaining to, that's super important because winning basketball games, especially when you're trying to win like college hoops in this country, you're not just winning that with talent alone, right? You're not even just winning that with skill alone. You need chemistry, you need communication, you need like so many, there are layers to it, so many layers that people don't see with their eyes right away, right? And I mentioned that because I'm very curious. You're I believe you're Filipino American, right?
A
Yes.
Filipino.
Exactly. So the same for Kainoa. And you have someone like Gab Gomez too, who is Phil-Italian. So, and then you have the local Filipinos, and you have someone like Ange, who is, not he's Filipino now. Obviously, he's
Yeah.
he's Filipino heart and soul, but then he didn't always start that way. So what impressed me is despite the different backgrounds you all came from, there was such a closeness to your team, such a bond, and I know it goes back to the bebop tradition that the batches before you all started, but that's still something I feel that the team needs to work on every season as a new batch of guys come in, as new teammates get used to each other, right? So for this season 85 team in particular, where there were so many new pieces, how did it happen? Did it all come together naturally? The team chemistry, the team bond, the togetherness that really manifested itself in the finals?
Yeah, I think with Bebop and all those things that with the history, and I think it was definitely a reoccurring theme for us throughout the season. But it wasn't always an easy road. We had it's hard to. I feel like it's a lot easier for your team to mesh when you're winning.
Hmm.
Uh,
Life
so
life is easier when you're winning, right?
yeah, so of course there's going to be some bumps when you have losses, and it wasn't necessarily a blaming game, but I think it was definitely something where we had to look in the mirror. Certain
Hmm.
guys with our with that bench issue that we did have in the beginning, I think a lot of times we were looking at what we need to improve on for ourselves, and once we fix that, then you can go on, and then you can worry about the team. You got to like we always say, you got to bleed for your brother. At the same time, with all those things, all those differences that we have, at the end of the day, it is one common goal that we have. We all love the game of basketball. We want to win a championship, and yeah, we had a lot of things that helped us, especially that after that first game, everybody heard about the old players coming back to talk to us,
Yeah,
and I think that really did fight a lot for us to help us win that championship. I can't say we wouldn't have won without that, but that was such a huge part for our victory.
definitely. Before I get to that Bob meeting, because I knew that, right away it seemed evident that that had such a profound impact on all of you guys, especially after a really tough loss, I thought, in game 1. So were there any cracks during the season in terms of that team chemistry where maybe there were some moments where you had to figure things out, talk things out, have a players only meeting, any stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't think in terms of like I said, with we weren't necessarily it's not like we're blaming one another, but we were having player meetings where we were thinking what can we do as a team and as individuals to turn this thing around. Because I think we also as players were talking amongst each other. We know how much work these coaches put in for us with scouting and all that. At the end of the day, it's on us, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, it reflects on us all. With the coaches' tactics. But at the end of the day, we found out. I mean, we knew it already, but it wasn't the coaches. It
Hmm.
was us. They had it. They definitely probably made some adjustments, and they'll be humble about that. But ultimately, we didn't execute what they were saying.
Hmm.
And I think when we turned that around, it was all up from there.
Definitely. So, what impressed me the most, I'm sure a lot of Ateneo fans will point out the second round on the way to the finals where you all really peaked. But I was particularly impressed with the first round too, because I believe your team finished with a 5-2 record at the end of the first round. Your only two losses were to UP and LaSalle. Now, that LaSalle game, you guys were even up for the most part. You're up double digits, and then LaSalle just kind of pulled away at the end. And that UP game, you were all able to force it into overtime, even if I felt UP played better that game. And despite the fact that it seemed clear there were things for you guys to work out, you still finished 5-2 at the end of the first round. And so you peak, you peak, you peak, you peak. And what particularly impressed me too was Gab Gomez's improved play. Like you could see towards the end of the second round, and then later on in the final four and the finals, him stepping up played such a huge factor. Like I think he had 9 points in the first quarter alone of the clincher against UP in the finals.
Yeah.
But I know you're close to Gab. What was like going through that process as he got better as the season went on?
Yeah, I mean, me and Gab were in the same boat. We were both coming off that bench unit. So we would, we'd have talks here and there just about how we want to improve each other, and we're always talking to each other. Like we're both also the lead guards, so we were both bringing the ball up. So there's a lot of discussion between me and Gab. That's my guy, man. We always, we see how hard we work for each other in practice, and
Mm.
I think it made sense that his hard work paid off, during that game 3. And even the whole second round, I feel like Gab just elevated his game, and I'm so happy for him.
For sure. Now let's go to that B-Bob visit because right away, all of you know, well, not all of you might have shared about it on social media, but you did share about it in like game 2, after the contest when you all won. Particularly with Kai, when Kai was talking to the press after game 2, he really pointed that out because he didn't have a great game 1 in the finals. And then game 2, I thought the way he improved his play was such a big factor into helping you all win. What exactly about that meeting, that visit by the former players that clicked or transformed you Eagles from being down 0-1 in the finals to taking control of the series?
That whole day was interesting because I think that was the day after we lost, or a couple days after, and we had this long team meeting, film session, and then it's the initial when we walk out, we see on the court just like all of them there, and
Hmm.
we didn't know. Coach Tab even mentioned he didn't even know it was happening. So that initial, just seeing them there was like, wow, they're here
Hmm.
for us. We said hi, those type of things. But then, we got into a huddle, and then, each of them had something to say.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing was just how it's really seemed so genuine and so passionate, how passionate they were about, Bebob and Ateneo, and they really wanted us to win, not just for ourselves, but or not just for them, but also for ourselves. We have this opportunity in front of us. We've been doubted the whole year, and I just think that with them saying those type of things, it really helped propel our motors for what was to come. It was literally do or die, and this is an opportunity that we just can't pass up. And with their support, we it felt like truly that game too. It felt like they were out there with us. We had Mamu and them on the sideline, right behind the
Hmm.
bench. We just felt like such a team. So it was really helpful for us.
You mentioned hearing about the doubts about the team heading into the finals, right? Those doubts, where particularly did you feel like you and your teammates heard it from? Was it from the community? Was it from UAP spectators? Was it from media folks? From other teams?
I think it was everywhere. I think a lot of times, people want to say, "Oh, you don't look at the media," but you're gonna look. So
Exactly.
at the end of the day, it's always dependent on just how you take it. So I think that we looked at that, and we saw it from the media. We heard it from our own team in a probably less harsh way.
Right.
But we felt that, and that those type of things, I think that it really motivated us, when
Right.
at the end of the day, it could have also been a deterrent for us. But I'm really glad that that's like what you said before, like that's what makes it so much sweeter, because I feel like a lot of people were doubting us, from all aspects of, media, fans, and that's why it's even sweeter to have won it.
So, do you and like basketball players actually check social media after wins, after losses? Because there's some who'll say, "Oh, we don't check social media. We're just focused on the game." But a lot of us know that's not true. Everyone's on social media, right? So, like,
Yeah,
yeah, go for it.
I think there's an extent to that. I don't. Of course, I'm checking because I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. Now, I'm not specifically searching for certain things, but
You're not
sometimes they just
searching your name, Chris Koon, after a loss.
no, no, no. But sometimes when you'll get mentions, so
Right.
you see them. Like sometimes I would do that. I would search my name, but the way that I go about it is what matters is what's within the team.
Right.
I feel like it's hard to tell someone to not look at those things. But like I said before, it's about how you take it. You can't be down on yourself looking at those things. For me, I take it as motivation, not to where it's gonna like take me away from our team's game plan, but it's definitely something that you have in the back of your mind that keeps you going. But with social media, that's everything's there. You're gonna see everything. So you really got to be strong on how you take things for sure, especially after a loss. And then when you win, that's the funniest thing. It's just like the switch up. Like
Yeah.
you lose a game, people think you're the worst, and then the next game you have a decent game. They're like, "Oh, you're the best player." Like that's why you just got to take everything with a grain of salt, I think, or else you'll be stuck in that loop.
So what's the most memorable thing you saw after a game this past season, if you had to point one out?
Oh man, I don't know if I'd want to say it, but it was during that rough stretch for the bench was definitely a little bit tough. There was some stuff said, but I don't think it really affected us in any way. I just saw it, and I would talk about after that. We would go within our team, and then I'd forget about it. It's nothing too serious.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Okay, so if you had to point out one or two, because you mentioned about the Bebob players sharing their thoughts and being genuine about it. So was there a line or two that something that someone said that you know how sometimes you hear like a quote or a passage and like it just immediately stays in your mind forever because you resonate with it, right? So was there something like that from one or two of what the guy said?
I think if I'm talking about a specific player, I think definitely Mamu resonated with me the most. And I think
Mm,
it's pretty obvious why. I played like I was the one, he was one of the ones that I played with. So really it was him and Tyler that I really connected with what they were saying. I still feel bad about that, losing, having them come out with a loss,
mm,
their last season. It just felt like they wanted to be out there with the way they were talking. Like they really wanted to win this game. And they were
mm.
just talking about the opportunity. And they were saying, we don't you don't want it like what happened last year, like what happened last season. You don't want to end it that way. You remember how it felt. And I was already thinking about those things, but to hear it from them, it escalates it even more, knowing that that feeling can happen in the next
Mm.
2 days, and we had to do anything we could to not let that happen.
So when you have an emotional moment like that, because that's filled with emotions, right? Basketball to observers, maybe even someone who's media like me, it's a lot of times it's a game. So it's a game, and then you play it or you watch it, and then you go about your day, right? I'll probably go write an article or record a podcast. The casual fan might go and watch a TV series they were planning to watch after watching like an Ateneo win or a loss. But for you players, those who play the game doesn't really leave you after the contest, right? When that final buzzer rings, you're going home. You're playing certain situations in your head. You're thinking about that one pass you threw in the third quarter that maybe you shouldn't have, or that one shot you took in the first half that if you had a chance again, you do it differently.
Mhm.
So the fact that you're so obsessed with the game and so locked in into preparation and the training and every day, when you have an emotional moment like the one you had when the Bebob Eagles visited, does it transform suddenly the way you play the game, the way you approach it? Does it give you like another idea of how to play it, or is that emotion just more of like fuel that keeps you focused on what you were already doing?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it for sure gave us motivation with what they were saying. You always would hope to, play every game the hardest you can, and with the
Mm,
maximum effort. But there's that extra gear that you have, when you hear those type of things from players, and you have, because there is an emotional and psychological aspect to games that people don't talk about. And I feel like I love how the Coach Tab speaks about it, because he doesn't treat it like it's not there. He knows it's there, but
mm.
it's about focusing on the game plan. You have it in the back of your head, but you don't want that to be the main focal point of. how you approach the game. But those type of things before the game, I think it does help a lot in your preparation. Just knowing how important the game is and not letting the moment be bigger than yourself.
For sure. And you felt like that meeting allowed you all to do that? The meeting from the Eagles?
I think we all took different things from it, but I mean that's the best part about it. There were so many guys there from past teams. There was so much knowledge, so much history in that. I think it really helped a lot of us for the for the next game.
As I'm sure you know by now, the Ateneo Blue Eagles are once again on top of the UAAP men's basketball wars after reclaiming their throne in the Season 85 finals. And what better way to celebrate your excitement about their return to glory than to purchase Get Blued Season 85 championship shirts? As always, Get Blued provides the best Ateneo apparel out there in the market, and you can get your hands on the Season 85 championship shirt for only 695 pesos. It's available in sizes from extra small up to quadruple extra large and is available in 4 colors: acid black, royal blue, white, and a bonfire edition black color that will be available at the Get Blued booth during the championship bonfire this Saturday, January 21 in Ateneo. You can also purchase these shirts on Laz Mall and Shopee Mall, and make sure to always buy the original merchandise. And now, back to the episode.
So for game one, I remember seeing you after the game and you mentioned that you had dislocated your shoulder. I think that was the play where the ball was stolen from you. Well, I mean, or it was a turnover. Do you remember? This is how
Yeah.
it happened?
Yeah, so I was dribbling, I think I'm not sure. I think we were down 4 or something like that. And
Mm.
I was bringing the ball up, ready to call a play. And then I think Kagalanan just swiped on my shoulder. Yeah, so that was the play. And then it kind of just popped out. But yeah, that was the play.
So did you pop it right back in after, or you had to do it in the
Yeah,
timeout?
luckily it wasn't too bad because it's happened a couple times with me before. It's an issue that I've had, but this time it wasn't a full, so it was pretty easy to just move it and get it back in place. And I
Right.
was, but the it was definitely tougher after that, just knowing it's also that's another psychological thing, just knowing that it could pop out again. So
Yeah.
a lot of times it was also just soreness too that would happen. I was mentioning to all my teammates, and when we were doing the alma mater, I couldn't keep it up long just because it was like so sore.
Or yeah.
I was really glad that I wasn't really affected by it after that. It felt fine. So during it, I was glad I played through it, and then we ended up winning. So that's all that matters to me.
So you mentioned psychological, right? Especially with injuries. And I believe you probably know this because you were in the United States when this happened. But when in the NFL, there were a Buffalo Bills player by the name of Hamlin needed CPR to be you. Did you hear about that? That he
I
needed CPR.
saw that. Yeah.
Exactly. And psychologically, you could see and by the way, of course, we're all thankful that he seems to be getting better. But psychologically, you saw the impact that it had on his teammates and the players on the other team. And you mentioned as well, when you dislocated your shoulder, and because it's happened numerous times, it kind of plays a role in the back of your head, right? Like you're thinking, if I extend maybe a little bit here, or someone tries to swipe the ball again, maybe I'll dislocate it again, right? And then you have some of the more impactful injuries. Going back to that Zave injury, when you see something like that happen, particularly for an opposing team, is it like a sobering reminder of what you athletes put on the line every time you step on the court?
I think you definitely think about it. Seeing Zave, it was terrible. I think obviously just knowing, the future he had, but also as a competitor, we wanted him to be out there. We didn't want him not to play game 3. As much of a strong player he is, as competitors, we want to play the best. So, it sucked to see him go down like that. And I think that, yeah, like you said, it does remind you as an athlete, anything can happen. There's risks that you take in being an athlete, and there's
Mm.
benefits. So I think, you know, I think you'd rather take that risk playing the game you love than, trying to think about those things and being, too worried about it.
For sure. And by the way, I just want to mention that we all wish Zabe the speediest recovery in his process, wishing him the best. Okay, no, I want to go back to you have the bonfire celebration this weekend. We're recording this on Wednesday. The bonfire is going to be on Saturday. And I'm sure that's something you're excited for, your first Ateneo Championship bonfire. But the night that you won the championship, how did you guys celebrate? I know you went to Mass. What did you guys do after the Mass?
Oh my gosh. It wasn't even, I think I was so tired, man. The match lasted maybe till like 2 a.m. So after that, I went, I think I went with my mom. We grabbed some food and then we just went home and then I just knocked out. Not
Right.
that eventful night of celebration, but it was what I needed. It was cool. We had the stuff with the team, the mask, but oh, you know what? No, I forgot. We did go to Ben Apple.
Okay, Banapple, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with the team. We had this they catered for us. Shout out them. We went and ate with the rest of the team. Coach Tab, all the families were there, so that was really nice. It was a
Right.
pretty wholesome night of celebration. And then we got back home around like 4, and then at that point, me and my mom were just here. We just knocked out.
How about the following days? I'm sure you and your teammates went out, right? Or did you have to fly right away back to the
Nah,
States?
yeah, that's why it was kind of tough because the next day we had I think we had a meeting or something. No, that was the day after. I think the next day, obviously, we woke up late. I think
Right.
I think I was just chilling at home. We didn't even. I saw some of the Philam guys here, and we hung out, but it wasn't really anything too crazy. Just because that next day on the 21st, I was leaving. So, and then on top of that, we also had that team meeting for this off season now. So it was kind of just like boom, boom, and
Yeah, that
that,
that's the most coach stab thing ever. I mean, just
yeah,
won the championship, already look forward to the next season, right?
love it.
Which by which by the way, you will be a team captain of. You and Sean, I believe, will be co-captain. So what's that? Have you already thought about how you're going to approach that role?
Yeah, luckily I've had great captains in my past, with BJ and Mamu. So I'm trying to take some things from them. Me and Sean have talked about it. We'll go into further discussion how we want to handle it, but it's definitely a big role. But I'm willing to take that role, and I'm glad I have Sean by my side. That's one of my best friends on the team. So it's cool to have him with me, and he's the type of guy that he's built for this. Like he's been through so much. We've been through it together since last year with the bubble for season 84 and
Right.
everything that he went through. I'm just so happy for that guy. I'm so proud of him, and I'm just happy that we'll be doing it together.
For sure. I mean, hearing his story from being cut multiple times to making, I mean, getting minutes in the finals and then becoming a team captain, it's not something you see every season. So shout out to Sean for that. You're right. What do you guys have the Blue Eagles over the next few months? Because unlike in between 84 and 85, you actually get like a proper UAP off season this time around. And it's January, so I'm guessing you have about 8, 9 months off before you start preparing for the upcoming season. Suddenly you have so much free time. What you gonna do?
It's you would think that we'd have free time, but not really. We have a lot of we've been training already for the last few days.
Oh
Um,
damn.
it's just
So
conditioning.
so those first days of training, are they like first day of classes where you ease into it, maybe you watch film rather than train, or are you just like right back on it?
It's not the type of I probably the coaches think it's an ease into it, but I don't think depending on how you spent your break, it be easier or not. But it's the type of thing that I'm also just so grateful to have coaches that care for your preparation and getting started this early is something you're like, wow, why are we starting this early? But
Right.
but in reality, it's like, man, this is gonna get you better. So I'm just so happy for that. the struggle it'll be worth it. So I think that's what I'm gonna, try to tell our guys too, and a lot of them know that. So
Is this going to be your last season, this upcoming season?
no, I got a couple more. I think I got two more or three more, something like that.
Right. But are you envisioning it might be your last season or you don't know yet?
Nah, nothing. I want to play as long as I can. But depending on what happens, you never know. But we'll see how it goes. It's still a little bit further from that time. But when the time comes, you know, that'll happen.
Right. Have you been monitoring the landscape of the UAP as well? Are you one of those guys who kind of keeps track of which players transferring to another school, which players leaving, which team might be getting what coach? Have you kept up with any of that?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this with social media. You see all these guys moving,
Right.
things like that. So I'm happy for all the guys. Carl was able to go to Japan. It's good for him. But then you also think about how it plays a part in the UAP.
Mm,
That's losing such a big piece. You got a couple of their other guys going to, the NCAA, things like that. So definitely monitor what's going on around the league throughout the season. It's a long off season, so anything can
right.
happen from here till the season. But yeah, it's definitely something I'm aware of.
Who's the guy who you think back on and you're kind of like, I would not want to guard that guy every day?
Yeah, I think for me, Coach Tab, during the season, probably people started to notice, like he started to put me on a lot of the guards, like the point
Right.
guard, and I was happy to take that role, but at the same time, it's a big responsibility, and I think with the hardest person to guard was probably Lastimosa, just because
Mm.
of his craftiness, his skill, and also like he's just such a nice guy. Like it would be easier for me to guard him if he was like this dude that was talking trash and like things like that. But he's just a cool dude. So like it's the type of thing where you're guarding him one possession and then you guys are laughing on the sideline. It's like it makes it that much harder. But as a player, he's obviously such an amazing player. It's gonna be I'm happy that he's coming back, be able to compete with him once again. But I would have to say Lastimosa for sure.
Awesome, awesome. Hey, before I let you go here, I'm just curious. You went to LA during the break?
Yeah, I
Oh,
did.
nice. Where in LA?
Know if you know where Torrance is, near like Hermosa Beach. That's where I live.
Is that
Uh,
near Long Beach?
it's north of Long Beach,
North of Long
like
Beach. Okay.
it's San Pedro or like Palos Verdes.
I think so. Which freeway exit do you usually take?
405 exit. It's 190th Street. I don't know. It's kind of I'm more towards the coast, like
Okay,
towards the beach,
so kind
like
kind of like a beach town.
a little bit. I'm like
Okay.
5-10 minutes from the beach. Yeah.
Right. Hey, so where's your favorite place in LA? If you had to spend every day for like a week, which
Oh man,
spot would you choose?
like food or just like in general?
Now, I mean, let's say you're there the whole day. So you got lunch, you got dinner, and you got like activities you gotta do during the day.
Oh, that's easy. I did that first day I came back. Uh, so I just go. My favorite coffee shop is called Offset over there in Torrance. I
Hmm.
go there all the time and get a breakfast burrito, and then I'll head down to the beach, Torrance Beach, just hang out.
Right, right.
You can never beat the views, and
Uh,
then dinner. This place called North Italia that's really good. But there's a bunch of spots there that I love hanging out at. A lot of local spots rather
hmm.
than going to downtown LA, which is I think a little bit overrated. Um,
So I spent 3 days in downtown LA. I mean, it gets scary at night.
no,
It
for
gets
sure.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
and I think the funny thing about LA is because I took a trip to near LA as well, just for like some like food spots
Yeah.
and coffee spots. But it's just funny how like it'll be just not a really good area, and then one spot it'll be like it's so out of place, like it's like a really
Mm,
nice modern building, and then
hmm.
everything else it's like, oh, it's a little bit scary, and then boom, a nice place.
Right, right.
That's just how LA is. But yeah, I saw you were at the game, right? The LA game.
Yeah, that was fun. So that's probably my favorite spot in downtown where the crypto center is because that
Yeah,
kind
that's,
of
that's nice.
yeah. good food, a lot of good beer in LA.
Mm.
I would choose Santa Monica, by the way, Santa Monica Pier. I mean,
So
maybe it's because of the touristy stuff to do, but you've also got Venice nearby, so you can kind of spend your day in Venice and go to Santa Monica. You got the carnival, the roller coaster, the arcade.
next
But
time, next time you're down there, check out Manhattan Beach.
Miami Beach,
Manhattan Beach.
Manhattan Beach. Okay, all right, I should. I was gonna say though, San Diego is beautiful. Like it's like
Yeah,
yeah. Have you seen it?
yeah. I went down there with my girlfriend. Like the last couple of days I was home, and like San Diego's huge. Like I didn't even know how big it was. Like La Jolla specifically is
Right,
beautiful, but amazing food. But it's also a similar vibe with LA. Like the downtown
right.
part really, it's a little bit scary, but around it it's really nice.
So have you checked out Glass Lamp Quarter in San Diego?
Nah, what is? I only went for a day, so I wasn't really
Uh,
able to explore. What is that?
all right, so it's like this strip, this really long strip where you just got foods of different cuisines. You got different bars. You even got like an arcade bar. You got pizza place, gelato place, coffee, shopping, everything you need, and it's just this like one street that seems to never end. It was nuts. I love San Diego because it just felt like LA but calm. It felt like
Yeah,
LA but low key,
yeah.
and it's near the water. And have you seen Encinita City? I'm sure you have, right?
We passed through there on the way. Yeah, it's really
Ah,
nice. So, yeah,
right. Yeah. If you ask me like where in Cali I'd like to live, I'd probably choose that just because it's near the water and like everything's so quiet and nice.
yeah. Hey, but I'm telling you, check out Manhattan Beach, and
Okay.
because that's where I actually want to be at the end when I want to settle. But
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna search that for sure. Hey, quick question. In and Out or Sweet Ecstasy? Have you tried both?
yes, it's
Oh,
unfortunately I'm gonna have to say Sweet Ecstasy, but it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm converted now, like I'm here.
right,
But
right.
I just think In and Out's the healthier option. I think that's the consensus, just because it's less
Right.
juicy, but it's always gonna like you're always satisfied with In and Out.
That's true. That's true.
Sweet
Um,
Ecstasy is really good. I don't know how it's just different.
their
Yeah.
milk, I think what wins it is their milkshake flavors. So, because you got like Oreo Nutella and you got like all these different options you can kind of mix. I'm
Wait,
not sure
where?
this in Sweet Ecstasy. Have you tried those like different?
Never even tried their shakes.
Oh man,
That
it's
might
it's
even that might
amazing.
put it even over more the edge. I've only tried the burgers and the fries and the
I
sweet potato fries.
I do like the animal fries of In and Out more than I like the burger of Sweet Ecstasy, but I would say the fries of In and Out, they just melt. Maybe it's just the American cheese. I mean, in America, the ingredients that you guys use, it's so fresh and like so
It is
nice,
it's just fresher, yeah. I would
right?
agree with that sentiment. I think the fries at In and Out are probably better for
I
sure.
mean, I knew it for sure because my wife and I we go out for like a 1 a.m. Food trip after we go out,
Mhm.
and we finish a burger, we finish a fries, we finish a milkshake, and I think we're about to go home. And apparently, we're bringing home more fries. So the fact that she got extra fries there, I mean, that
Yeah,
kind of I
so,
mean, it was justified though. Okay, so you said coffee too, so I just have to ask because I love my coffee. What's your go-to coffee drink if you go to a coffee shop?
yeah. Iced latte with oat milk. Go
Oat
to.
milk.
No
Okay.
sugar, no sugar or anything. I'll go with regular milk too, but if they got the oat milk option, unfortunately, oat milk is like they make it like $1.50 more, or like
Yeah.
or in the Philippines it's like what, like 100
Eight,
pesos.
80 pesos, 100,
Yeah,
like
something
$2
like that.
essentially.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I like it better if they use the right oat milk. I go with that, but nothing, no sugary or syrup
No
with it,
caramel or vanilla or nothing like that.
just straight up.
No, yeah, I get that because when I was in New York, I was having flat white, oat milk, and a shot of caramel. And then I had that every day, and I just noticed myself getting like really heavy. So then I
Yeah,
totally switched it back to flat white, almond milk, and no sugar whatsoever. It was less yummy, but
yeah,
that the sugar gets you.
yeah. You get used to it though. Like I don't know. I just the thing is, when you go there, when you go to that level of no sweetness, for me, it's
Right.
like I can't go back. Like
Oh,
I can't go to any like anything. Like my friends always joke with me about it. Like when we get coffee, it's like I'll try their drink and they put like a little bit of sweet. I'm just like, oh, this is too sugar. But it's just I just can't go back. Like I'm straight up. I might end up going black coffee at some
oh,
point, but
okay, okay.
I don't know.
When you probably hit your like late 30s, especially as a pro, you might. But how do you survive without just totally munching on Sour Patch Kids, Starburst, and all these candy that you can bring back? I mean,
That's the thing. I don't eat candy like that. But what I do, the thing that kills me though is like cookies and like brownies.
oh,
That's what gets me. Like it's not. Luckily, I'm not like a candy person, but with like cookies, that's when I can go sweet. Like,
mm.
and
Uh,
speaking of cookies, like Mo cookies. I don't know if you've had Mo cookies.
Oh yeah, they're the huge chunky
South
ones.
Ciabatta. Yeah, I got the South Ciabatta one. I used to, man, season 84. I was grabbing that, like, I'm not gonna lie, all the time. But but I had to cut that out. So, but that one's definitely one of those things where like cookies just is the one that could definitely kill me.
If you ever go to Alabang, try out the cookies at Bungalow Cafe. That's pretty good too.
Bungalow Cafe.
Yeah, and just have the food there too. Just try everything. It's an amazing place.
Where's Alabama? Is that
It's after Makati in the south, so you kind of have to take the Skyway or the Expressway, but it's worth the drive. It's a nice spot for sure.
yeah? I'll keep that
Yeah.
in mind.
And next time you get a cookie, dunk it in that coffee. Oof.
Oh yeah. Coffee with the ice latte is
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna go grab a cookie. Hey, Chris Koon, thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate it. Congratulations again on being a champion, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next season, Captain.
Thank you, Naveen. I appreciate it.
Take care, man.